in the Gospels when Jesus said the first shall be last and the last shall be first. That's exactly what he's talking about. Everything's going to be turned upside down in this new kingdom. Because this new kingdom is not how you're born, what kind of racial background you have, but who you believe in. And people are going to come from the outside and be on the inside. And people that were on the inside are going to find themselves on the outside just because they didn't believe and don't believe. But they can. If they want to believe, they can. That's the good news. So, he's not talking, I don't want you to go away troubled by this. I've talked to people who are really upset, it robs them of their peace. Because they think, I don't know, maybe he'll say to me, I'm throwing you out. Listen, if you're a Christian and you're believing in Jesus, we have a promise that he'll never say to you. He says, they that come to me, I will in no wise cast out. You ever read that in John 6? We're talking about coming to Jesus. He said, whoever comes to me, I will in no wise cast out. I like what the Message says. Once you're with me, I hold on and I don't let go. I like that. Because our grip on him sometimes is uncertain, but his grip on us never fails. Isn't that good? Yes. I think that's good news. I know, again, talking to people all the time, they do things wrong or make mistakes or get discouraged. Again, I'll tell you another BJC story if you don't mind. Last week, this is a freshman, just last week, last Sunday night, a man came to me after it was all over with and asked if he could talk to me. He was older than most of them are young. They're teenagers, like 18, 19 years old. I'd call that teenager. They seem young. This man looked older, some gray in his hair. I'm not saying anything bad about that. Look at mine, But I could tell he was older than most of them. And he came to me and he said, I was an assistant pastor at a church. Now, you might think that's hard to imagine, that an assistant pastor at a church could find himself incarcerated here at Bill Johnson Correctional Center. But it can happen. He said, I got discouraged. That's the first thing. He said, I got discouraged and some things happened in my life and I got bitter against God and I blamed God for it and I just sort of gave up on it, kind of. And he said, he used that term I don't like, but he used I backslid. And I didn't want to, he was just pouring out his heart to me, and I didn't want to confront him right then. But see, I don't believe that, by the way. I think you can get discouraged and you can do a lot of dumb things, but Jesus said, my grip, once you're with me, I hold on and I don't let go. And wherever you slide, he'll slide with you, and he's there to help you get back again. Just like the prodigal son, remember the story of the prodigal son? He was in his father's house, and he left. He made a dumb move, the prodigal son, we call him that. He took what he had from the father and he squandered it on riotous living. That's what I think about these guys out here a lot of times. That's basically what they've done. But he found himself in want, finally. There was a famine in the country. He found himself in the pig pen, feeding the pigs in the pig pen. And he's in this desperate situation, sitting in the mud, feeding the pigs. He suddenly came to himself. Sometimes it takes being in the pig pen in the mud to come to yourself. But he came to himself and said, in my father's house. When he said my father, it means what he came to himself, he realized he was the son and he had a father. He didn't lose his being a son because he did something dumb. But given my choices, I'd rather live in the father's house and not the pig pen. You understand? But those who find themselves in the pig pen, anyway. So this man, he was telling me how, I can't remember why I was starting to tell you that. Oh, he was troubled. He was upset. He thought, like a lot of people do, a lot of people get the idea that he casts us out or throws us out if we do something wrong. No, he does not. He holds on and he doesn't let go. We can make a big mess for things. We can make a pig pen for ourselves to live in if we want, but we don't need to do that. And it doesn't need to stay that way. So anyway, I'm looking forward to seeing this man again tonight. And I told him I believe he's going to be back doing what he was doing before, and he'll be a more effective minister because of what he's been through. He'll have more sympathy and more understanding about people who are just in that kind of situation. So I think God will restore to him everything that he lost. That's what I think. Okay, so here it is, verse 13. Jesus said to the centurion, go thy way, and as thou hast believed, so be it done unto thee. And the servant was healed in the selfsame hour. Again, they came to Jesus. That's what the point of that is. Let me give you two more, and then we'll be done. Look in chapter 9. Here's another one. Chapter 9, verse 27. Jesus departed thence, 2 blind men followed him, crying, saying, thou son of David, have mercy on us. They're calling on him, in a sense, they came to him by calling on him. That's how they did it. They weren't just sitting there. They could have sat there indifferent, but they called on him. That's the right thing to do. Son of David, have mercy on us. And when he was coming to the house, the blind men came to him. Notice specifically it says here, they came to him. And Jesus said to them, do you believe I'm able to do this? And they said to him, yea, Lord, or yes, Lord. They came to him and they believed in who he was and what he could do. Like the centurion, like the leper. And he touched their eyes, said, according to your faith, so be it done unto you. And their eyes were opened, and Jesus straightly charged them, saying, see that no man know it, sort of like the leper. So here's several examples. They were not indifferent. They came to him. And when they came to him, they found, as he promised, they found rest. They found relief from what it was that they were carrying, the burden that they were carrying. Well, does this apply to us? Yes, it does. I got one more to read, and this talks about the application to us. It's in Hebrews chapter 4. And I want to begin reading with verse 15. How about verse 14? I want to back up a little bit. Verse 14. Hebrews chapter 4, verse 14. Now, this is Hebrews. We don't know who the writer is. Some people think Paul. We just don't know. But evidently somebody who's very knowledgeable and has some authority. And he's writing to Christians, in this case Hebrew Christians, but we can read it too. It says in verse 14, seeing then, Hebrews 4:14, seeing then that we have a great high priest that is passed into the heavens, Jesus, the Son of God. By the way, when he says he's passed into the heavens, what that's saying is we don't come to him like those people in the Gospels came to him. They physically came to him, and wherever he was, they had to find him and come to him. But metaphorically speaking, we come to him as well. But he's passed into the heavens. We don't see him physically, but we do come to him. And it says, seeing that he has passed into the heavens. And by the way, the high priest, when he calls him a high priest, he's saying he's our mediator. He's our mediator between God and us. Seeing then that he's passed into the heavens, let us hold fast our profession. Now this word profession is a translation of the English, or it's a translation into English of the word in Greek that we sometimes also translate confession. Profession and confession mean it's what we say about him. Or it literally means to say the same thing. Say the same thing as what he says about him. Let us hold fast to our profession, that is to say our confession of what we believe. For we have not a high priest which cannot be touched with the feeling of our infirmities. Now this is a little bit awkward the way it's worded, if you don't mind me saying so. The double negative makes it a little hard to understand. When he says, we have not a high priest which cannot be touched, what he's actually saying is we have a high priest that can be touched. Does that make sense? By using double negatives like that, I want to be sure that you understand. He's not saying we don't have. He's saying we've got a high priest that can easily be touched. Speaking of Jesus. We have not a high priest that cannot be touched, or in other words, we have a high priest that's easily touched with the feeling of our infirmities. Now, you should know this about Jesus. If you have something that causes you pain or anxiety or worry or care or even physical pain, we're not just talking about mental things. Anything that is a weakness that causes you anxiety or pain, Jesus, it says, is touched with that same feeling. He knows exactly how we feel. And this is in here to let you know that he has sympathy with us. And the reason he knows, it says, is he was in all points tempted as we are, yet without sin. What that's saying is he has been here, he's walked in our shoes, so to speak. He knows how we feel. He's been on this human plane. He's been in this physical world. He knows how everything feels. And when you have a care, when you have an anxiety, when you have pain, when you have some problem or an infirmity, whatever it might be, he knows exactly how we feel. And he's not indifferent. That's what that's meaning to say. So what do we do with that? I mean, we could just say, well, that's nice to know that he feels how I feel. We could get a little bit of comfort from that. But see, that's not enough. That would be like the leper saying, I know if he will, he can, and just sitting there with his leprosy. Or the centurion who had the sick servant saying, I know he could do something about this. But see, all of them that we read about, they came to him with those things. They didn't just sit back and say, well, I know he could if he wanted to. They came to him. So, listen, he's first telling us that he has sympathy for us. He's sympathetic to us. Then